Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second installment this week, third overall. For everybody that joined us last time, definitely appreciate it. We are doing these twice a week now, every Tuesday and Thursday, about 4 o'clock, to kind of jump online here and kind of give you our thoughts about what's going on in the market and some of the things that you guys are able to do. Go ahead, if you're on right now, feel free to leave us a comment in the box right below. We'd love to hear from you. We're always open to questions, ideas, things of that nature for us to talk about different topics. We love to kind of bring some content and value to the conversation. So give us a like on Instagram and Twitter as well, at the lead toll for both of those, as well as Facebook. Obviously, there's a ton of content that we do and we push out for a variety of topics and things we cover. So give us a follow. We'd definitely appreciate it. Otherwise, I think we got a couple of good things in store today. We're going to kind of carry over from what we discussed on Tuesday. It's definitely a longer topic than the 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes that we had then to kind of cram in. So, I definitely think there'll be a couple takeaways in terms of some things you guys can do right now to enhance the customer experience. And I think a good place to kind of start is what's the difference between customer experience and your customer service? That's something I don't think a lot of people understand yet. Just because a lot of people tout their customer service is what makes them different. There is a difference.
Not to interrupt you, but it's really funny you mention that because everyone we talk to, when it's such an abstract idea, it's like no one says that I'm really good at after sale service or pre-sale, we're really efficient at getting on site, getting bids out, stuff like that.
I've never heard that one time.
No, hey, it's not like we've asked, but it just seems like such an overarching kind of it's like one of those things. Well, we're good because our software is fast. You know what I mean?
It's basic. It's basic.
Yeah,
it's like just a quick off the cuff reasoning for what makes us good. Right?
And there's there's a lot of abstract stuff out there. So it's not like saying it's a load or anything. It's just saying that what is even defined as customer service? And maybe has that whole definition even changed over time? Particularly for retail, because for lunch yesterday with John from Forge, we were talking about how he bought a stand-up freezer. Right, so this guy runs a retail yard.
Pretty sizable
not really. Yeah, they're good. They got a number of facilities. Yeah. I guess it's not really retail. It's not wholesale. They do mostly builder contractor business only. So whole nine for frame stock, cabinets, all that, fixtures, but does not so he uses a general contractor and does work on his house, right? Rather than a lot of retail customers, which I think the bulk of the market is people walking in design centers, flooring showrooms, stuff like that. But John was talking about buying a stand-up freezer for his basement, and he was, and this is actually, and I don't want to take you off your point, but this is just a really interesting, I thought it was an interesting story, because he goes online to Home Depot, finds the one he wants, and then buys it, has it delivered. He's like, I was too lazy to go to the store and pick it up. So they have the in-store, but they also will deliver it, and it's shipped straight from the Maytag warehouse. Now what was most interesting to me was the fact that he saw it when he was in Home Depot.
But
he saw it and he bought it online because he was just like, I don't want to deal with it today. What he told me was he saw it, so he went home, did some research, and then still bought it from Home Depot. So technically that's I wouldn't call it a same-store sale, but it's someone comes in, and this, I guess, is taking us on a different tangent than service and experience.
Well, I think it all comes into one.
Right, but the experience,
that's still tied in.
What made his experience great was the fact, he could see that, go research it, and then, he saw it in a Home Depot, so he went back to the Home Depot site, and I know, people that may be listening probably don't love big boxes, that's fine. I'm just using them as an example, because you can apply the same
Well, it's real life. It's actually
yeah. You can. So I mean, a single yard operation that's like a total home center could apply the same principles.
Yeah.
It's really like the tech and stuff is out there, but the experience of being able to like see it, then go research it, and then you like, oh, this vendor, this retailer has a great like way for me to buy this without having to go back to the store again, coming back to making it easy to buy.
That's a great point. Saw it in the store,
but it's got to be easy to transact outside of the store too. And you don't. I mean, again, this doesn't have to be like a total e-com, but I just thought
it's not an. Well, here's I think that does tie into the customer experience. It's not an unusual circumstance today for a consumer to walk into your showroom, look at some material, look at some samples, and then they take them home to do their own research. It is not an uncommon circumstance for that to happen. Now, where the ball is dropped maybe a little bit is, how do you get them back, right? Not all of us have, $15 billion of revenue to start tossing around like Home Depot does.
No.
So, granted, they have, some resources and things of that nature that they've created
the tech
experience, but it doesn't mean you can't do it.
The tech and the stuff they're using to do that, like, honestly, like, it's not
great. It's not great.
No, but it's not even, it's just, like, not super expensive either. I mean, like, I think there's a myth that a lot of this stuff is, like, crazy expensive.
Take up too much of my time, it costs too much money, or here's the thing, it's just maybe adding a new line item that you never had.
But the other thing, too, is it's like, a lot of people don't even know that a lot of these solutions are out there. And that's, I mean, again, like, there's not, whole reason we're sitting here jabbering is because there's probably not, there doesn't seem to be, like, anyone talking about all this stuff that's, like, already out there that people can use.
Yeah.
There's not, like, a great source, and it's not to knock the sources that are out there, but there's not enough sources out there, like, for the industry talking about, hey, there are these solutions.
Just everything that's available today.
Your inventory online. It's like this conversation we keep having when we're talking to people about. So we have an integration with like the largest online payment provider or processor rather, Stripe. People go to Stripe's website, and the people.
I'd be willing to bet the majority of this audience right now has probably never heard of Stripe.
Yeah, and Stripe's huge. I mean, they do Saks payment processing. They do. I mean, their list is it's like Uber. I mean, freaking everyone. Every vendor, every upstream vendor we have is basically using Stripe. But people will go like to their website or Square. I mean, Square's more well known in retail.
For sure. I think that's definitely more
Stripe's
common.
more of like a developer. It's an e-commerce tool.
Yeah.
But people like don't even know. They'll read just the misinformation. My point's the misinformation. They read it like their rate on the site, and like Square's rate, for example, their credit card processing rate is something like 2.75%, which like to some people sounds high, but that is set off you having
that's all inclusive.
But here's the thing: like it's set off you having a $15 average ticket and under $250,000 a year in sales. Everyone we're talking to. Even the smaller people, they're processing probably close to half a million, $1 million. The bigger ones are processing, 30, 40, 50 million at least. Yeah. And then, so it's like call us for a different rate, but people are like reading the site and they're not calling. It's like this information to these processors, and the reason we're bringing this up is these are technologies that you can like plug into your website. If you develop any e-commerce, they integrate with literally everything. So if you
they do other things too. Square's not just a payment.
Well, Square's like a total like retail
inventory,
kind of like
it.
POS, like type solution.
It's a very modern technology.
So you can transact on the showroom floor, and we'll get back because dude, when we get going on customer experience, we just go all over the place. So,
it's all inclusive. I mean, when you talk about customer service, it's not just picking up the phone and answering with a happy voice or having a smile when somebody walks into your store. That's not just the customer experience or customer service. There's a big difference in that.
No, there is, and I guess like my point was getting back to the information. It's like everyone reads these like rates and they're like, it's so high, but like the other thing too is the bank rates, in my experience, are always higher than these e-commerce or I would call them like electronic payment processors, because the
they get you on like an entry level rate, right?
I mean,
they start tacking on
they bullshit you.
A terminal fee.
They completely bullshit you because they'll give you like this low. They'll be like, oh yeah, we can do it for like 1.75 a swipe, and then they've got like a terminal fee, and then they've got all this stuff. And like when we were looking at processors, like way back in the day when we were getting started out, I mean, the lowest bank rate I saw combined all in, and no one looks at the all in rate. Everyone I'm talking to, they see like 2.75 on Square, and they're like,
well, it's the same thing Home Depot did on their flooring before they.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, sir, excuse me, like you are not paying less than this. You are paying more than this. You're talking about like your base rate for processing, and there are all these like, and again, the reason that this is important is because like Square is an immediate value add for any retailer in terms of like processing. Mm-hmm. So like it's easy because you can do it like your employees can literally have the app on their phone, and you can ring, like even if you have to ring out a manual charge compared to waiting on a terminal, you know, and you
so to be clear here, what we're talking about is, you know, the experience in the showroom or in your store level floor, from the difference in having somebody, you know, walking around your showroom floor telling you want to buy something and then forcing them to come over to the register to then, you know, manually swipe a credit card or sign, you know, 10 different documents, whatever you got to do, as opposed to being able to walk with that customer, you know, provide them the experience you guys are already providing in terms of getting them into the right flooring or the right lumber or the right doors, or whatever it is.
Cabinets,
but at the same time, being able to take your phone right here and then swipe them right on the spot, or punch in the credit card right on the spot, not leaving where you are in the store. That's may seem small and trivial, but it's a huge difference that has propelled brands like Apple.
Apple's really
Kohl's
good.
is doing it now. A retailer being able to buy on the spot. It's a big difference in terms of what people are demanding and expecting now. Being able to do things right where they are.
Well, compare that to the ultimate pain in the ass if you're like at a big auto dealer. And when I say big, I mean like big brands. So like not a small brand. So like Toyota. You got to talk to like even the best dealerships. You got to talk to like 18 people before you can actually buy the damn car.
Every time.
And it's like, that's kind of like
it's friction in the process.
How some retail transactions can be, because it's kind of like, well, you know, the salesperson does this, the manager does this, like blah blah blah. And it's like if you can even remove like one of those friction points by having like, you know, a little swipe thing that you can run someone's credit card. I think like that's a massive win.
It comes back to making it easy for me to buy from you.
Yeah, and I say that like sitting here, you know, I'm working on with our team like wrapping this whole e-signature for release, which we got approved today.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, that's like, why are we building that? We're building that so it's one less friction.
You know, it's real life. I mean, you think about your own life too. You know, you have a family, you have kids, you get home from a long day at work. You make dinner, or you got soccer practice, or ballet practice, or whatever it may be. Sports. I mean, all kids are in sports. You're running a million miles an hour. You know, the last thing they want to do is come back into the store after they found the flooring or after they found the doors that they want to upgrade their home to sign some paperwork to get this thing going. You know, just being able to send them a digital contract for them to sign is a huge deal. That is customer experience. It's being proactive and delivering something above and beyond what they'll get from your competitor down the street, or what has just been traditional in nature in terms of the different industries.
Yeah, it's just making it easy to buy, and that's, I think, we've been talking about that like forever now. I mean, I feel like that's like on everything we talk about, which, I mean, obviously, like, it's important, but it literally is just making about if it's easy to buy, because, you know, we talk a lot about like most of the people most retailers, to be honest, I think almost all of them are basically selling commodities, unless you are making like custom fabricated, like totally like, you know, I think about like choppers or like race cars, like stuff like that, like, which, you know, that's the extreme, but like.
Was that Orange County choppers?
Yeah. But, you know, if you think about it, all these pre-manufactured, like, prefab goods, like, you know, semi-custom cabinet doors, you know, some of the countertops, flooring, prefab good, you know, carpet, all that stuff, like, Hell, John at lunch was telling me that they're now assembling bathrooms and dropping them into multifamily. Yeah, I was like, is the durability anything like you know? But in any event, if you're selling a commodity, which most anyone who I think would be listening to this is, the only advantage you have is how easy it is to buy from you. There's literally no other advantage. Because if you sell it, a big box sells it, Walmart, price is, no. The only advantage is how easy is it to transact. Because if you make it hard to transact, and you have the cheapest price, it doesn't matter because no one can frickin' buy from you. If you make it easy to transact, it's a slam dunk because there's no friction. So, like, that's what this all comes back to is you know, the entire thing is if a big box and Walmart and us and you and whoever are all selling the same product, the Cincinnati Reds hat, if that's, you know, the same here as it is everybody else, why would someone buy that? Why would Kyle buy that Cincinnati Reds hat from me if he can buy it from, you know, anyone else? So that it's not easy to buy from me is my point. So
and we're talking about, you know, the process in retail has largely remained the same over time, right? You go in, you buy your commodity, you go to the terminal, you swipe your credit card, and that's that. Now you may not feel that that's difficult, but there's these other, you know, businesses that have created this different experience over the last 10, 15 years or so, really led by Amazon, that has conditioned a consumer to buy differently. And that's really what this comes down to. It's not necessarily that, it is. You know, I guess, you know, what I'm getting at is it is difficult to really go into a store now knowing that I can go to Amazon and, you know, essentially buy whatever it is and have it delivered to me today. It's a different experience
totally different.
that has been created for me. And I'm, you know, this is across the board. This is happening in every single industry that's out there. Some of them have already been disrupted, like real estate. That's already been disrupted. You know, Zillow did that 15 years ago by giving information back to the people when you go to do a home search. That used to not exist. Realtors had all the power, all that information. That's been disrupted. It's now happening with Wayfair and flooring and furniture.
Go on Wayfair's
and
site right
I
now.
mean, you name it. It's happening across the board. You know, I'm looking at a Harvard Business Review, pretty reputable brand in Harvard.
Idiots.
They're probably not bringing anything to the table, but you know, in their research, when they're consulting on these customer journeys, they found organizations able to skillfully manage the entire customer experience reap enormous rewards. We're talking enhanced customer satisfaction, reduced churn, increased revenue, and believe it or not, greater employee satisfaction. It's about more effective ways to collaborate across your company to provide this experience that consumers are now programmed to expect when they walk in the stores. I mean, you know, these companies that are surviving in retail right now and really flourishing, you know, take a look at your Best Buys, take a look at your Home Depots, your Lowe's. You know, Kohl's is starting to make that transition now after being, you know, just destroyed over the last 5 years or so. You know, these companies are making the shit. Verizon, AT&T, the cell phone companies. I guess you could probably call them media companies now. I mean, they're buying up everything. Verizon just bought Yahoo, but you know, they're creating these experiences that were really led by Apple. You know, 10 years ago. You know, for people to come into the store. Starbucks, another great brand that creates an experience. You know, people used to just buy a cup of coffee and think it was that. Here comes Starbucks, and they've now created an experience where people come to those stores to hang out just for their free internet. And I was reading online last year, I think it's something like Starbucks knows that each customer's lifetime value is about $15,000. So they know that just by getting you in the door, you're going to be spending money because of their free internet. And they've created this atmosphere, this collaboration to really enjoy and really upend the coffee industry. So it's happening in a lot of different industries, and right now it's happening in retail. And it's happening very rapidly, more rapid than what's happened in real estate, what's happened in the coffee industry and things of that nature. Like, you know, this is here, people. This is happening, you know, believe it or not. And what were you gonna say?
No, I'm gonna kind of like, we're gonna keep jumping around. Sorry about that. Because you got, before you were on the HBR stuff, we talked about like Wayfair.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not like, the point here is not like be Wayfair or be Amazon, but
it's to create your own experience.
Yeah, but what I wanted to get at was like what information they're making available to customers, like readily available. So I'm looking at some laminate flooring here. I just like Googled a brand that we work with, and it tells me a lot of stuff. So it gives me like a big price thing. Here's the price per square foot. But what's more interesting is it tells me when it will ship by. It will tell me the estimated delivery date. And then there's a button that says, let's see, and you can actually get it. It tells me I could get it by Wednesday, April 5th. And then it also has a button like interested in installation services, get a quote or request a consultation. So, I mean, I don't, look, coming from the car business, we had to put the price of everything on our website.
Consumers demanded it.
And I mean, I'm not saying that every like retailer should do this, but like the cool thing is like there actually are a lot of really, really affordable e-commerce platforms so that like
Shopify.
Shopify is a great one.
That's a great one.
That like makes this stuff like this, because it sounds at first glance, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much information. I don't have the time. I don't have the staff. But like there are a lot of solutions out there, and there's a company that we're talking to that does like inventory and integrates with a lot of different platforms, because we need other for some of the verticals we're in, we actually need to be able to bring other solutions like to our customers, because they're looking for more modern solutions than what's available. So part of our job is to seek out partnerships with the right companies that can help our customers. But they can make all this stuff available too. So it's like, it's actually like, it's not that hard to do this. And like, so this is what the competition's doing, right? Like someone told us that one of the top flooring manufacturers did like what, 150 million?
150 million
with Wayfair last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think that like
expected to grow this year.
I think there's some things, because like the way I think about it, it's like, man, like if I can get found online, and local Joachim, one of the people we work with, one of my partners,
which 4 out of 5 people are doing right now.
Did a great, but he put a great post up about focusing on local. So if you're doing advertising and you're doing local advertising, you're gonna get found. And if you get people on your site and like this kind of information is available, so I know like, so
your
for example,
conversion rates shoot through the
so
roof.
for example, like flooring is actually in terms of inventory, they have like an EDI system that goes out and pushes in, and if you could expose that through like an e-commerce platform, you basically could put all this stuff here and like push your tell your vendors, hey, I need to know how quick you can ship this item, which these are all like conversations that are happening on the phone anyway. I can't tell you how many times customers would call us at our yard to be like, hey, I need half a truckload of 4-quarter like common poplar. Can you have it on a truck tomorrow morning? And it's like 4:30, we've loaded the trucks. Like, yeah, or if we can't get it, the mill is X week, a week out. They're going to do a red oak cut next, like whatever.
Yeah.
So my point is like, this is the information like you're talking about. This is what's already out there. So it's kind of like, that's what it's not hard to do.
No, and you bring up a good point too. The conversations are already happening. You're already having these conversations, which is fantastic. The difference is vision. Giving vision to what's going on in the process to the consumer. That's what they want. That's what their programs already do. And you think about your shopping experiences. It doesn't matter where you buy it online really anymore, whether it's Amazon or RalphLauren.com, or it doesn't matter what the purchase is. At the end of the day, you're going to get an email with an expected delivery date, and it allows you to track kind of what's going on with that. So it's these little things like that give you vision into what's going on. It is really what the desire of the public is, of the average consumer now. You get it across the board. So this is why companies like Home Depot and Wayfair are growing exponentially over time. But the cool thing is people love local. People love buying
that's
from.
the thing, because it's like, yeah, that's where I was going.
People love it. People love it.
If you have, any, like, if local stores have like 50% of this info, and I'm not saying they're losing deals to Wayfair necessarily, but what I'm saying is, like, I guarantee you, they will not lose deals.
The consumer nowadays is going to where the experience is.
Well, and it's like, if you have this on there and I can drive up the road and get it, like, why the hell would I, like...
Yeah, that's the point.
Convenience, because it is easier to buy from local places.
And people love supporting local, particularly, we talked some about these millennial generations, and you may or may not have seen, your business start taking off with these guys. Whatever it may be.
And
50% of...
They're charging for samples. $5 to order a sample.
Yeah, and 50% of people purchasing homes now are millennials. And it's only going to keep growing. So, my point is, this generation, these people, love purchasing from brands that they can get behind and love. And a lot of that has to do with local, but you also have to meet them halfway and make it easy for them. So, doing things like putting in a modern inventory POS, credit processing system like a Square, putting an e-commerce site in like Shopify, doing things like that makes it easy for me to come find you and buy from you is a really big deal. And I know, you're busy right now. You got things. I've heard the gamut when it comes to that. You got to lift your head up out of your business for a minute and see what's happening in the retail space. And some of those things, hopefully you're getting from our conversation in here. We want to provide you with some different tools and things of those natures. Those are some immediate takeaways that you guys can start going and seeing today to kind of start down this track or this process, especially for people that haven't updated their website in 5 years, 6 years. Like, this is an easy, quick win.
That's so cheap now, too.
Oh,
like,
it's super cheap.
Website
it's
stuff.
super
it's
cheap.
Just kind of like, what's,
I'm
looking here at, like, some other cloud inventory people, because, like, it's like, this is, and John, who I had lunch with from Forge, was just like, why wouldn't you, as a retailer, turn your inventory, at least, like, what you have, like, just say it's in stock or say it's not in stock. Show the price, don't show the price. Show that you can have in 3 days.
That's how you drive them in. That's how you drive them.
Yeah, and it's also like a transparency, like, trust thing. It's like when we run a demo, we say we're going to do these 3 things, and like the third one's we're going to talk about implementation training. We're going to talk about pricing.
Yeah.
Like
we actually do it.
We're not gonna like run and be like, oh, because like there's a plan for everybody. You want to pay $20. You want to pay 5 times that. Like, it doesn't matter.
But it's information. People want the information.
It's just putting it out there, I think, more than anything.
You will see conversions skyrocket if you start listing your inventory online. Another quick win.
They'll see. That drives so much more in-store traffic.
Yeah, they want to know.
Google has done like extensive research on this. They have case studies with a number of retailers. If you need a resource for online information about using and maximizing your AdWords, I was looking for
chat into us. We'll be more than happy to send over the site. You guys can check it out.
The name of the site is Think with Google. It's just thinkwithgoogle.com. They put out a ton of amazing stuff. They break it down by sector. Their research is brilliant. It focuses very heavily on driving traffic to local businesses in their retail category. So I think that's like that's a wonderful place to look. And they have found that showing it's a 70%. It increases the likelihood of a conversion by 70% if you are listing your inventory like in Google Ads. Which even if you don't want to list it on your website, you can actually like list your inventory on Google. Which I mean, again, and like people are like, let's look right here. Let's look at.
Again, it's about easy to find you, easy to buy from you. Listing your inventory. They want information. Being able to then come in and buy something, and I don't necessarily got to be in the store to do it.
Yeah,
all of this wraps into your customer experience.
I'm looking at their cabinet doors that are listed online.
I mean, you name it. Throw a dart. Anything I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Windows.
Yeah, Windows. So here's floorings listed online. Let's look for like Anderson windows. I bet those are listed on. Yeah, Geldwen. Here we go. So it's all like all this stuff is being listed, and people aren't using this necessarily to like transact with you. But what it's doing, and this is a really important point, putting this stuff on like using Google shopping listings or whatever. The point there is not for them necessarily to transact with you there, because they're still going to need some guidance. How many windows do I need?
And that's what you're there for. That's why they still want to come into your store.
This is what gets them to the store.
Yeah.
By having this there, it's not that they're going to like press the buy here button or whatever. So
they're educating themselves on what's available to them, but they still need the help.
They look, and so the first thing on Google's on the left hand side of Google when you're searching, you go Google search, click shopping. The top two items on the left hand side are your location, which says Cincinnati, Ohio, and it says show only, available nearby is at the top. So you click a button and you literally will see only people like near you. So, and right now, like, look, here's the good thing. There are not a ton of people in lumber, building materials, you name it, in that whole space. So whether you want to get super granular and talk like windows and doors, kitchen and bath, flooring, there are not a lot of people doing it. So if you're one of the only people on here doing it, you're gonna knock it out of the park.
This is your leg up, on how you compete with the Home Depots and the Wayfairs that just have more money at their disposal, right? They want to buy local. They want to find.
It's not even about having more money. It's about I don't even think it's about that. I think it's just about.
Well, I think a lot of people that I talk to a lot of times just feel like they can't do it. They can't, have access to the different resources and things.
I get that, but I also think that like there's this.
The point is you can't.
The point is you can, but also like it's got. The other thing is it has nothing to do with the money, to the extent that these other organizations just have a different perspective on how they're spending their money. If we gave you $1 million and we gave them $1 million, that $1 million would go probably, yeah, exactly. So we were talking about this shift in mindset the other day. How many people do we talk to, particularly like we go to a flooring convention? Well, is my vendor going to pay for me to like have this product? Well, no. Like, it's like the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah. Like, before a price is even, the thing could be $1, and people are like, "Well, is my vendor going to pay for it?" Or it's not like, is it going to help me help my customers? So is it going to help? The first thing should be, is it going to help my customer? Then you start thinking about everything else. So the Wayfarers, the Home Depots of the world, they're all thinking, what is going to help the customer? Mm-hmm. And then they align everything around that. So you give them $1 million, they're going to put it towards stuff that's going to help the customer. Yeah. Give everyone else.
Great brands do.
You give, you pull someone off the street and give them like some,
Zappos,
there's like a random flooring dealer or something that operates out of a warehouse. You're going to be like, oh man, well, like I'm going to go buy like $1 million more of inventory. It's like there's not even going to be a thought about how to help the customer. Like, what can I do with this to get more customers, to help the customers I do have more? And so I think that's where the money goes out the window. It's mindset. It is not money. It is mindset. It is focusing on the customer, not the vendor, not you, not the fact that things have changed and my salespeople aren't going to, like, no, it's none of that.
It's not the money. I'm looking at Shopify right now. You can get started for $29.
Yeah, and it plugs into probably everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, at the end of the day, these tools, these resources are at your fingertips and available for you. And Chase brought up this point earlier. By and large, the industry just hasn't done a good job of giving this information and providing it to you in terms of what's available and what you can do at your own fingertips. And that's a big goal from our podcast, and what we're trying to do is empower you with this information and tools and things of that nature that you can get quick, immediate wins today. That not necessarily going to break the bank or take a year and a half for you to come to fruition on. Different things, different takeaways. We didn't even get started in talking about just strictly following up with people. Just you don't even need anything today. That's something you can do right now without implementing these different tools and resources for you. Just be better about following up with your people. I can't tell you how many people I talk to, and most of these bad reviews that I see on Yelp, on Google Review, House, people do go and check it out before they come in to buy, and it does dictate where they buy from. Most of these bad reviews that I see all come down to people wanting a quote, or people calling in for a quote, or people are interested in more information on a particular product, and they never hear from anybody. And to me, that's just
it's the mortal sin of sales, because it's the easiest thing to do. Is just to answer questions that someone's asking you.
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of owners and managers and things of that nature, and you have people that have been there a long time, and they do a pretty good job of doing the follow up. Pretty good doesn't cut it anymore. People, consumers have an outlet to go express that frustration. I mean, case in point, look at Brad's wife from Cracker Barrel. People blew up on that. So I mean, they go online to talk about everything now, and whatever that experience is going to be, good, great, bad, somewhere in between, they're going to let everybody know about it, and they leave reviews, and that's a big deal. And like I said, you don't even have to do anything else but come in tomorrow and put a hard process in place for people to actually follow up on people that call in for information, email in, that come by your store and take a sample out. Follow up with that person. You're not invading their space. You're not taking time out of their day. Yeah. How many people do you know come into a lumber yard or a flooring store on a Saturday morning just to bullshit?
No one.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, they're looking at no one kicks tires.
No.
I'm sorry. I was in the lumber business. I can say that lumber's not that cool.
Yeah.
You're not selling Ferraris.
I'm not going in there to hang out. Spend my Saturday.
It's a destination.
I'm going there for a very specific reason. I'm genuinely interested in whatever it is I come in there for. Windows, doors, millwork, you name it, whatever it is. I'm coming there for a reason. And if you're not capturing my information, if you're not following up with me, you're dropping the ball.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to end this one, and then we'll get going next week. Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks for everyone out there who's watching us.
Absolutely, chat in.
We appreciate it.
Definitely love it. Give us a follow. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We're pretty easy to find at the Lead Tool across the board. Definitely,
we'll be going live more sporadically.
We'll try to give you guys a heads up, but part of this is also kind of the off the cuff conversations we have in our office that can bring a lot of value to a lot of people out there. That
probably some behind the scenes tech startup.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. So
all that stuff.
Tune in; it's going to be interesting. That's for sure. So definitely, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. We're looking forward to next Tuesday.